I'm not there yet.
Okay.
But let me transition here and out of Colorado because we do have a massive game in the Big 12 this week. Arizona. So I had an 8-game lead on you, and then all of a sudden here comes Arizona State and Kenny Dillingham to save your ass.
Yeah.
BYU does take on, and we'll talk about BYU losing to Kansas here, but BYU does take on Arizona State this week. The winner of this game likely will be going to the Big 12 title game. And BYU, I'm just going to throw this out there, has Houston to end the season. And that's not – I mean, Willie Fritz has done some crazy things in his times. But, Joe, to stay in the Big 12 really quickly, BYU did fall to Kansas last night. Your thoughts on that game?
This is the whole thing that I've been saying with BYU. And I was met with resistance when I pointed this out. Their accomplishments to this point have been great. It's been a fun story to track. But they were the least reputable team that was being put in the top 10. At least Indiana was blowing the doors off of every single team that they played except for Michigan. BYU was scraping their way through most of their games, and they had 2 good performances. The game that they played against SMU, which for some reason gets propped up as some huge, amazing victory when it's just a boosted G5 team. SMU is not as good as people think that they are, and I'm going to keep pushing that with both BYU and SMU.
Well, neither is Boise State, and we got them in the top 15 too.
Okay, and I agree with that as well. What I'm trying to say here is that nothing that they did was exceptional. They were extremely average. Jake Retzlaff is a 50-something% quarterback, and we're acting like this team is built to be a juggernaut in the Big 12. They were winning a bunch of close games and playing sloppy football in a number of outings that they had, and we're supposed to expect them to go on this immaculate run. It took one matchup against a team that had a little bit of creativity on offense for them to finally lose and to show where their deficiencies are. I don't think that they're built to beat Colorado. They have been one of the luckiest teams in college football. And the biggest piece here, Blake, there is an enormous difference between good teams and average teams with good resumes. We acted like they had some amazing resume because we allowed a number of media people to talk us into it. I wasn't one of those people that got talked into. I saw through it, and finally, reality set in.
More than anything in this game, so we can break down the game if you want to. More than anything in this game, Kansas just had more athletes.
That was the biggest thing that I noticed. But that's supposed to be how is Kansas, a 3-win team coming into the game, have more athletes than BYU, who's the number 1 team in the conference?
Regardless of what anybody wants to say, here's the truth. The only pushback that I give on you about BYU, I know turnovers are very streaky, but Joe, they did it for 10 straight weeks, right? Or 11 straight weeks. So I get to a point where, I mean, man, they've done it all 11 weeks. Like, why am I supposed to assume that it's going to stop? They just don't. They never had athletes. They were so fundamentally sound. And when they had a guy that could take a pitch quicker to the edge than the other guy that we have on our team, it backfired. I mean, Neal getting to the outside, Daniels getting to the outside. Mm-hmm. Grimm with the 77 yards receiving. I mean, like, one team just had more dudes. And it wasn't anything special that anybody was doing.
No, that's my whole point.
So, to your point, it's a bad matchup with them against Colorado. So, coming off this Big 12 run here, I do think that they were poorly coached in this game, though. And I think that they've been poorly coached the last couple of weeks. In reference to, I think that they got to stop, like, playing keep away, too. Like, you needed points. You needed to go beat Kansas. And you're going on this long, immaculate 10-play drive. And I'm like, all right, well, if you only get a field goal here, you're not going to have enough time. You better start picking it up a little bit.
Their defense also hasn't, like, again, we bring up the turnovers that they've been able to produce. They've had a lot of turnover luck. Their defense isn't so good that they could just be like, let's go on a slow drive and then lean on our defense. Like, what?
Well, in fairness to them, though, okay, they gave up 17 points. And it's not like their offense got them anything really worth the damn.
Against a 3-win team, though.
Oh, Joe, so there's no team in any conference, okay, that if you say, hey guys, listen, we're going to have an off day. We're going to give up 17 points. We need you to get 18. We need you to get 18. I mean, so I get what you're saying about them defensively. Joe, better athletes made better plays. Sounds good. You gave up 17 points.
Okay.
I mean, like, you get what I'm saying, though? Like,
yeah.
What am I trying to rip on the defense for when you only gave up 17? We had an off day.
Right, fair,
why doesn't our offense pick something up? So, again, I thought it was a very poorly coached, and, well, BYU is going to give it to Kenny Dillingham squad, and I'm just going to tell you, I faded Kenny Dillingham this week.
Don't make that mistake again.
Won't ever do it again. Won't ever do it again. So here we go.
I'm going to end up picking – I'm telling you right now, I'm picking Arizona State this week.
Oh, me too.
Good.
By the way, as soon as I had an 8-game lead, I lost an 8-game lead.
You started talking shit before the week ended.
I mean, in fairness, you picked it during the show.
Yeah, I changed my mind.
I mean, we both went 9-1 this week, by the way.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.